7 signs that predict how long you'll live after 70. Scientifically proven. Your body after 70 is a brutally honest friend. It never flatters and it never hides. Every morning it tells you, in tiny ways, how well you're aging and how much healthy time you still have ahead of you. Most people don't listen. They look at the calendar, they blame genetics, they say that's just old age. But doctors who follow older adults for years keep finding the same pattern. In your 70s and 80s, a small set of everyday signs predicts who will stay on their feet, recover fast from illness and stay mentally sharp, and who will start losing independence sooner. These signs don't need a hospital to be measured, you can do them in your living room. That's exactly what made the original video so powerful. And we're going to keep that energy, just upgraded, just a little more scientific, and just a little more practical so you can actually do it today and not someday. Today we're going to walk through 7 of those signs. These aren't random or based on myths. They're patterns seen in large populations of older adults and confirmed again in recent work on mobility, social isolation, and central fat. The famous 𝐀𝐠𝐲 paper in JAMA in 2011 that followed more than 34,000 older people is still quoted because it showed that a simple walking pace predicted survival better than many fancy tests. Later studies in 𝐉𝐨𝐢𝐧, in the European Journal of Preventive Cardiology and even in geriatric clinics in 2024 to 2025 kept finding the same thing: simple functional tests tell the truth earlier than disease does. The body can no longer do simple things at normal speed. Risk goes up even if your blood work still looks okay. By the end of this video I want you to be able to say, I passed this one, I'm close on that one, and I need to fix these too. That is exactly how geriatric clinics think, not you're old, sorry, but which levers can we still pull to slow the curve? The goal is not to scare you, the goal is to show you exactly where to push so you can keep living on your terms. And as you listen, don't just think about yourself. Think about your partner, an older sibling, even a parent in their late 80s. Most of these checks can be done together in 10 minutes, and sometimes another person sees weakness in you that you don't notice in yourself. If you're watching with someone, pause after each sign and test each other. Turn it into a little checkup day. Before we dive in, help this channel reach more seniors who don't even know these tests exist. Tap like now, and if you're new here, subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss practical, science-backed lessons on aging well. This is important. YouTube shows these videos to more people over 70 only when you interact. So if you want more content on healthy aging and not only on exercise or diets, write right now in the comments where you are watching from and your age. And let me check something with you. If you like videos that give you measurable things to do after 70, type number 1 in the comments. If it's not your thing, put 0 and I'll adjust. Sign 1, your walking speed. When people hear longevity, they think blood tests, scans, genetics, all important. But one of the clearest windows into how long an older person will live is simply how fast they walk. In 2011, a pooled analysis in JAMA followed more than 34,000 adults over 65 and found that for every 0.1 meter per second faster usual walking speed, the risk of death went down, and this was still true even after adjusting for age, sex, blood pressure, smoking, chronic conditions, and hospitalizations. At age 75, the difference in 10-year survival between the slowest and the fastest walkers was dramatic, which is incredible for something you can measure with a stopwatch in a corridor. A later Australian follow-up showed that older adults whose pace kept dropping every year and who also had a bit of cognitive slowing were the most likely to develop dementia. In other words, the body often tells you something is wrong long before the brain scan does. If you want to measure it at home, do it the way researchers do. Mark out for meters in a hallway or garden. Start with both feet behind the line, walk at your normal comfortable pace, and have someone time just the middle for meters so that the start doesn't slow you down. Do it twice and take the best time. If it takes you more than about 5 seconds to cover 4 meters, that is a signal to train. If you are close to 3 seconds, you are in a very good zone for your age. The goal is not perfection, the goal is staying in the robust side of aging, the side where you can cross the street without rushing, climb the stairs without stopping, and visit friends without worrying you will get too tired. Picture 2 74-year-olds crossing the same street. One walks with purpose, looks straight ahead, speeds up when the light changes. The other shuffles, keeps looking at the ground, needs extra seconds to step up on the curb and feels a bit out of breath. They're the same age on paper, but their bodies are aging at different speeds. The slower one isn't lazy, their body is telling you that moving now requires more energy. Slower walkers, especially after 70, have more falls, more hospital stays and, in the long run, shorter lives. The good news is that gait speed is trainable. If in the last 2 years you noticed you started to let others go ahead, that is your early warning. React now. Walk slightly faster than comfortable, 2 or 3 times a day. Add ankle circles, heel raises, mini squats at the kitchen counter, and take stairs when you can. Bodies keep what they use, they let go of what they don't. If you tested your walk right now, tell me in the comments with number 2 so I can see how many of you are actually doing it and not just listening. Sign 2. Your grip strength. Your hands tell the story of your whole muscle system. Doctors like grip strength because it's cheap to test, objective, and it predicts far more than hand power. Large cohort studies and several meta-analyses in the last decade all landed on the same conclusion: weaker grip means higher mortality and higher disability in the following years, even when researchers adjust for age and chronic disease. Grip is a proxy for global muscle mass, for nerve health, for circulation, and even for how active you are in your daily life. In 2023 and again in 2025, studies on post-hip fracture patients showed that the ones with the poorest grip in hospital were the ones who died more or lost independence faster 12 months later, even though they all had the same fracture. Grip was the separator. That is why a lot of hospitals now measure grip at admission. It's a fast way to see who is fragile under the surface. Think about 2 78-year-olds. One still carries groceries, opens jars, squeezes a tennis ball while she watches TV and does a bit of lightweight training. The other started asking for help for small things and sometimes drops objects without meaning to. On the surface it looks like a minor annoyance. Inside, it often means the body is losing muscle faster than it's rebuilding it. And muscle loss in older age, what doctors call sarcopenia, is tightly connected to falls, hospitalizations and earlier death. The fix isn't complicated, but it has to be consistent. Do things that make your hands close around something: hand grippers, squeezing a ball, carrying 2 water bottles during your walk, gardening, wringing a wet towel. Add 2 short sessions a week of whole body strength work, even seated, because if the grip is fading, the legs and the back are almost always on the same path. If you're still with me at this point, tell me in the comments with number 3 so I know you're actually doing this and I can make more videos like it. If you want a full video just on hand strength and arthritis-friendly tools, write grip and I'll prepare it. Sign 3. Your ability to stand on one leg. In 2022, researchers tested middle-aged and older adults on a very simple task: stand on one leg for 10 seconds without holding on. People who could not do it had almost double the risk of dying in the next decade, even after the researchers adjusted for age, weight, and common diseases. Later studies kept finding the same pattern: poor balance is not just I might fall, it is my systems, brain, nerves, muscles, inner ear, are not communicating well anymore, and that is why it predicts death and disability. Balance is a whole body conversation, and when the conversation gets noisy you see it immediately in daily life. You bump into furniture more, you avoid turning fast, you hesitate on stairs, you don't like walking on grass. Why is a 10-second stance so powerful? Because to do it you need strong lower limbs, fast reflexes, a brain that processes position and an inner system that still works. If any of those slows, you wobble. Imagine 2 women in their early 70s. One walks daily, sometimes does yoga. When she lifts one foot she stays up and even smiles. The other hasn't challenged her balance in years. She lifts one foot and immediately grabs a chair. She tells herself she's just clumsy, but her body is actually saying, if I trip, I can't save myself. Failing that test also tells us you're at higher risk of falls and fractures, which themselves shorten life and independence. Balance is trainable at any age. Stand on one foot near a wall. Walk heel to toe in a straight line. Try Tai Chi or gentle yoga. Do 30 to 60 seconds a day and, in a few weeks, you'll feel steadier. Better balance means fewer falls, and fewer falls mean longer, better life. If you tried to balance while watching and you had to hold on to something, type number 4 so I can see how many of you need a follow-up video on balance drills. Sign 4. Your 5-time sit-to-stand test. This is a simple but incredibly revealing sign. Take a normal chair without armrests. Sit, cross your arms so you don't push with your hands, and stand up and sit down 5 times in a row as fast as you safely can. Time it. Researchers who measure lower limb strength and independence love this test because it mixes power, balance, and how your heart and lungs respond. Studies in older adults showed it is highly reliable, that slower times go with weaker legs, poorer balance and more hospital visits, and that in people with heart or lung disease, bad times predicted earlier mortality. In clinical practice, finishing 5 stands in around 10 to 12 seconds usually means you are in the robust bracket for your age. Taking 15 seconds or more, or needing your hands, means you should start strengthening now. 2 men, both 80. One sits and stands 5 times in about 11 seconds, breathing a little harder but stable. The other grabs the table, pauses after the 3rd stand and finishes around 20 seconds. On paper they're the same age. Functionally they are not. Functional age, what your body can do today, is what predicts how long you stay independent. The beautiful thing is that this test improves fast because the movement is specific. Practice it every day, maybe 2 sets of 5, holding on at first, then with arms crossed, then faster. Add calf raises and mini squats at the counter. In a month you can cut your time, and every second you cut is your legs telling you, I'll protect you longer. If you actually tried it now, write number 5 in the comments so I know who's really doing the work and not only watching. Sign 5, your sleeping pattern. Sleep is the repair shop of the body. Older adults who keep it regular live longer. Large reviews on seniors showed that both very short nights and very long nights were tied to higher mortality, and that fragmented sleep raised the risk of high blood pressure, diabetes, and memory problems. A 2024 circadian rhythm study went even further and said that irregular bedtimes were linked to more cardiovascular events even when total sleep time was okay, which means the body likes rhythm even more than it likes duration. Poor sleep also messes with your appetite hormones, so you eat more sugar on bad sleep days, which over months raises your belly fat and your blood sugar and pushes you into the very risk we just measured with the waist tape. One hidden reason for bad sleep over 70 is obstructive sleep apnea. You snore. You pause breathing, oxygen drops. The brain wakes you over and over, and you don't even remember it. Poor sleep quality, not only short sleep, has been linked to higher mortality, so it is worth being checked if you wake up unrefreshed or if someone tells you that you gasp at night. So if lately you've been waking at 3 a.m., or you fall asleep in front of the TV and then lie awake in bed, that's not just age. That's your body saying the repair shift isn't getting done. Fix what you can. Morning sunlight. No screens 1 hour before bed, cooler and darker bedroom, lighter dinner, earlier nap, and a talk with your doctor about snoring or apnea. Even small sleep improvements have been linked to better survival. Better sleep equals better repair equals better longevity. If sleep has been your weak point, comment number 6 and tell me what keeps you awake. I read every comment and I can do a whole video on senior sleep tricks. Sign 6, your appetite and eating pattern. One of the saddest things doctors see in very old adults is, I just don't feel like eating anymore. Sometimes it's normal aging. Often it's the body saying, I'm not doing great. We have solid data that unintentional weight loss of only 4 to 5% in a year doubles the risk of death in the next few years. And geriatric guidance says that losing 5% or more of your weight in 6 to 12 months should always trigger a medical check. Reviews on anorexia of aging in 2022 and 2023 said the same thing. Loss of appetite in older people is massively under-recognized and leads straight to frailty, falls and slow recovery. And it's often fixable if you catch it early. So ask yourself, have I lost weight without trying? Do I eat less because I don't feel hungry? Do I skip cooking because I live alone? If yes, react now. Make meals smaller but more frequent. Add easy protein, eggs, yogurt, fish, chicken, legumes, because older muscle needs more protein per kilogram than younger muscle, often 1 to 1.2 grams per kilogram of body weight per day, to stay alive and repair. Keep colorful vegetables in there for fiber and vitamins. Eat with other people when you can, because we eat better together. And talk to your doctor if the change was quick or if weight is dropping, because sometimes it points to medications, digestion problems, or even depression, all of which can be treated. Keeping appetite and nutrition solid is one of the quietest ways to extend healthy life. If this part spoke to you, write food in the comments and I'll know we need a follow-up on simple senior meal plans. Sign 7, your waist-to-height ratio. Almost nobody over 70 is told to check it, even though it's incredibly useful. Take a tape, measure your waist at the level of your belly button, not where your trousers sit, and divide it by your height in the same unit. If the number is under 0.5, you're in a safer zone. Between 0.5 and 0.55 your body is starting to store fat where it shouldn't. At or above about 0.58, the risk of dying earlier from cardiovascular disease, stroke, or even some cancers rises clearly, and 2024 to 2025 papers have confirmed that this is true even when BMI looks fine. The reason is simple. BMI doesn't tell you where the fat is. Waist to height does, and central fat is the inflammatory kind. Why does this matter so much after 70? Because with age we often lose muscle and gain belly. The scale doesn't change much, so we think we're fine. But visceral fat is doing silent damage. It keeps inflammation high, pushes blood sugar up, makes the liver work harder and, over years, subtracts health time. The good news is that waist is one of the fastest things to improve. Better sleep, more walking, slightly more protein, fewer ultra-processed snacks, smaller dinners, and even a bit of stress management, and your tape will move even if the scale does not. That is your sign that your metabolism is getting younger. If this measure surprised you, tell me with number 7 in the comments, because I want to see how many of you will actually take the tape and not just think about it. Bonus sign 1. The way you handle stress. A calm 78-year-old ages slower than an anxious 68-year-old. It sounds unfair, but stress chemistry is real. Long-running studies on chronic stress show that people who live for years in high stress have more inflammation, more blood pressure problems, and more signs of accelerated aging on the inside. Stress isn't in your head, it sits in your blood. It raises blood pressure, wrecks sleep, worsens appetite, and, over time, that combination shaves years off. Newer research using biological age clocks even showed that people with better psychological resilience aged more slowly than people with the same diseases but worse coping skills. That means mindset and habits are not just motivational talk, they are measurable aging breaks. Think of 2 men, both 76. One has problems, yes, but he breathes, makes a plan, calls his daughter, goes for a walk. His body experiences stress in waves. The other keeps everything inside, replays the same worries at night, sleeps badly, snaps at people. His body lives in stress. When life is like that for years, small problems become big ones. So if lately you've noticed you're more irritable, more worried about the future, more tired in the morning, make stress management part of your longevity plan. Breathing, prayer, meditation, walks, music, talking to someone, even laughing on purpose. If this point hit home, write number 8 below and say what you use. Other people will read it and try it, and we create a little library of senior stress tools under this video. Bonus sign 2. Your social connections. Humans are built for connection, and science keeps confirming it. Several large studies showed that both loneliness and social isolation raised the risk of dying from any cause by around 30%, and isolation was especially bad for people who already had heart problems. That is the same order of risk we see with light to moderate smoking. When you talk, laugh, help, hug, visit, your brain releases chemicals that reduce stress and protect the heart. When you spend most days alone, your body behaves as if you were under threat, blood pressure goes up, sleep gets worse, inflammation stays high, and, over years, that subtracts life. Look at 2 women, both 80. One has a small but active circle. She calls her sister, goes to church, meets neighbors, video calls her grandchildren. She has reasons to get dressed, to walk, to cook. The other slowly stopped calling because she didn't want to bother. Her days became very quiet. With quiet days came less movement, with less movement came poorer sleep, and with poorer sleep came lower mood. That spiral speeds up aging. The solution is rarely get 100 friends. What works is 1 or 2 real connections plus a structured activity. Volunteering once a week, joining a senior gym class, helping with grandchildren's homework, serving in a community kitchen, even running a tiny WhatsApp check-in group, all of these give you purpose, movement, exposure to daylight and conversation. That is why in studies on purposeful activity in older adults, the ones who served others lived longer. If you realize your weak spot is loneliness, write "I need connection" in the comments so I know to film ideas that are realistic for people who don't drive or live in small towns. Now that you know the 7 core signs: walking speed, grip strength, 1. Leg balance, chair eye strength, sleep quality, appetite and nutrition, and waist to height ratio, plus these 2 powerful bonus checks on stress and social ties. Take 5 minutes today and check yourself honestly. Which ones are solid? Which ones surprised you? Which ones are weak but fixable? Tell me in the comments which sign you failed and which one you're going to work on first. When you write it, you make it real. And remember, you don't have to fix all 9 in 1 week. You can pick one mobility sign and one lifestyle sign every month. Month 1 could be walking speed and sleep. Month 2 could be sit to stand and waist. Month 3 could be stress and social ties. That is how you slowly push your biological age below your calendar age, exactly like the people in the studies we talked about. If this video helped you understand your body better, please like it, share it with a friend or a parent over 70 who needs these tests, and don't forget to subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss the next lesson. Your support is what lets us keep creating senior-friendly, science-based content. You deserve many more active years. Start today, even if it's just one test, and tell me in the comments which one you chose so I can cheer you on in the next video.